Drivers, start your engines!
This is MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. One full hour of news, interviews, and opinion about the past weekend's racing action. Brought to you by Hercules Tires.
Pace car is up.
Now here are your hosts, Woody Cain and Joey Meyer.
Green flag, green flag.
Welcome to another edition of Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Woody Cain, along with Joey the Giant Squirrel once again. And
where's your uniform? Where's your outfit? Your costume?
Last week was Halloween, not
it's
this
not
week.
It's not every week for.
You can have Halloween year-round if you'd like.
I thought we were celebrating Kevin Harvick's top 6 finish and getting a free blooming onion this morning.
Well, we are, but I didn't know that's how you were going to celebrate.
I got a memo that said I had to wear this.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Well, good. I think you should wear it every week from now on. And your ears are still floppy, by the way. I thought you were looking for a pill or something.
The drink didn't take effect yet. It will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there's something to look forward to, folks. Don't forget, head over to Outback Steakhouse today. Check out their $6.99 lunch combos, their new center cut sirloin, the app where you can order and pay and all that right at your table, reserve your table and everything along the way. Don't forget to race into Outback Steakhouse today for a free
bloomin' onion.
Because Kevin Harvick had another top 10 finish.
Another.
Outback Steakhouse done right.
Another top 10 finish.
He's getting to be where he's costing them a lot of free bloomin' onions, which is a good thing.
He's pretty good at this stuff.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's really good. Coming off a horrible finish at Martinsville, he ran the top 10 all afternoon. All evening, actually, a night race there in Texas, which we weren't really expecting.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be.
Nope.
We lost a night race earlier in Charlotte and then gained one back, so that's not too bad. By the way, we were promised that when the Outback near us opened up, there's a new one opening up over at Concord Mills, that when it opened up, we would start getting some free bloomin' onions.
Yep.
It's open now.
We got one opening up in exit 36 in Mooresville.
Do you?
Yep.
Well, don't do that. We need to make Tony Rizzuti run out and bring us a free bloomin' onion every week so we can have it right here on the set and kind of pick at it during the show.
We got 3 more weeks. Maybe it'll happen.
Yeah, maybe it will.
Maybe it will.
Anyway, we have two drivers who have locked their way into the championship race at Homestead, Miami on November 20th. 2 more to go. Those will be decided at Phoenix. Carl Edwards, the winner at Texas in a rain-delayed and then rain-shortened event.
Amazing, because he was the furthest back in points, and he was at the highest risk of not making the chase, and really his only way of getting in was to go to victory lane, and that's exactly what he did. He parked the old 19 there in victory lane.
I'll give you another one, too. How about last year, 1 year ago, he was the guy that gets hosed when it rains in Phoenix and doesn't get the chance to advance.
The whole rain thing really messes with a lot of guys. We have all this technology on our pit box with computers and people calling in and professional weathermen. You never really know.
No, you don't.
you just don't know.
I saw a picture where you tweeted over the weekend from the roof, and you could see the rain clearly off in the background.
That's it. We get so wrapped up sometimes in looking at our smartphones and seeing if it's going to rain or not. You're looking at me funny. Why is that?
Because you're wearing a giant Joey head.
It's a
Little Joey, big
Big
Joey.
Huh?
Yeah, we got it.
But sometimes we get so wrapped up on our smartphones, we forget just to look outside. Is it going to rain? And we're looking like it's right there.
Well, you have a different
rain.
vantage point up on the roof than most people
Right.
do.
Well, at that point in time, the radar didn't matter because it was going to rain.
Yeah,
and
it did.
It did.
And did you see any of the maps around the whole country? The only place in the whole continental United States that it rained
Texas Motor
was
Speedway.
right at Texas Motor Speedway.
But we've got used to that.
Yeah, we have over the years for sure. As we said, Carl Edwards was the victor at Texas yesterday. Here's what it sounded like when he spoke with our Kyle Rickey in Victory Lane.
Man, this is more than special. This is Texas, which is a very special place to me to win, to anybody in the garage. And then what we had to do tonight to win, moving on to the championship, just really proud of my guys. We performed under pressure. It was a good test for Homestead, and I'm ready to go race for this championship.
One close call entering pit road there. Midway through the race, you and I believe the 78 coming in at the same time?
Yeah, we're racing hard there, having fun, and that was probably a little closer than it should have been.
How does this change things for next week now in Phoenix?
Phoenix is going to be a blast. Really excited about it. I get to take the 6-shooters out to my buddy Jeff Adcock. He's a Maricopa County Sheriff's deputy, and his dad was a big single-action 6-shooter fan, and he passed away. And so Jeff and I talked, and we agreed if I won this race, I was going to take him out there. So Phoenix is always fun for me, but now it'll be fun just to go out there and race, have a good time, and try to get another trophy.
The race win was cool, but how about that? He tells the story of the deputy sheriff in Arizona who he had talked to, and the guy's father passes away, and now he's going to get to actually pay that off and take the six-shooters out there.
Yeah, once again, living proof that as race car drivers and team members, we do care about the trophies that these teams acquire after a race win. The drivers are able to take that, the six-shooters home. The cowboy hats, we get them as team members, and it's a good opportunity for the drivers to celebrate.
And this leaves 312 miles to Miami. There you see the standings in the chase. Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards with 1 win. Joey Logano and Kyle Busch tied, just 1 point ahead of Matt Kenseth, 2 ahead of Denny Hamlin. Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch have some work to do at Phoenix if they hope to race for a championship at Homestead.
Yeah, clearly looking at that list, one of the last 2 drivers is not going to Homestead to race for a championship. And if Kevin Harvick can perform at Phoenix like he has the last 4 or 5 races we've been there, which means he's won, one of those drivers that are only separated by a point won't be going to Homestead. So that's a very good points battle going to Phoenix as their last race at a track that puts its short track action but extremely fast action. It's kind of a ambidextrous, amphibious style racetrack to where you have short and long, and Phoenix is very unique, which they're going to redo a whole thing after this race. Be interesting to see the new
a lot of talk
version.
about that. They're going to switch some things around and a whole new Phoenix coming up, so we'll keep our eyes open for that as well.
It'll probably still rain there.
Yeah. The other thing we mentioned, we'll talk more about this in a later segment. By the way, folks, we do have Johnny Sauter coming up again. He said last week, if I win, I'm coming back. So he is back after winning the truck race on Friday night at Texas Motor Speedway. We've got on-track, off-track as well. The weather is a part of it. Many other things a part of that discussion, but we will get to some Phoenix talk before we finish the show today. But one thing I did want to ask you about that specifically is where you guys are on the roof. You're kind of down toward the turn 1 end, and it's low where it's difficult to see on the 3 and 4 end. Tell folks about that.
Yeah, Phoenix is a unique place for the spotter stand because we are normally located at the start-finish line at most tracks at the highest portion of the facility. Phoenix, we're actually down in turns 1 and 2, and if you can recall, a lot of our accidents happen during restarts or exiting turn 4, and I've always said I contribute that to, or attribute it to the fact that our spotters are so far away from the drivers that we don't see those idiosyncrasies that happen during restarts if somebody misses a shift or spins their tires or if somebody gets loose off a 4, because that's the furthest place we are away from. So Phoenix is actually going to change that a little bit on where we stand, referencing the shape of the track as well.
And some teams use an additional spotter from time to time. Some teams, if they're down on that 3 and 4 end, use somebody to help from the pit box area. What are the workarounds?
Yeah, well, the issue with using more spotters at a place, because a spotter, even though we're down in turns 1 and 2, can see all the way around the track. The minute we use 2 spotters or more than 1, you run the risk of talking over each other or talking at the same time where the driver doesn't hear anything.
It's just
so sometimes the pros outweigh the cons and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, and it's definitely something to keep an eye on when we get out there to Phoenix. And a guy who had a really good race but was a little disappointed was Joey Logano. Here's what he had to say following the race at Texas.
Yeah, I ran as hard as I could. Wanted to get the win. The win means a lot right now, but overall, we got close to it, and we had a very fast car, so we're proud of that. You know, I thought it was maybe a little bit better in Carl, especially the last 4 or 5 laps. It seemed like the momentum swung, and I started catching him. Now, whether catching and passing is 2 different things, but sure like to have the chance to catch him and see what would happen. But we got to do what we do. You know, we're not going to change what we typically do. We're going to go out there and we're going to fight all week and make sure our car is as best as we can get it, and then we're going to go to Phoenix and race as hard as we possibly can. It's going to be interesting. Be exciting for everybody.
Yeah, it sure will. It's always been an exciting race at Phoenix. Kevin Harvick is very good there. I think he's won 5 out of the past 6. He has a really outstanding track record there, and based on the points we saw a moment ago, he's going to need it because he can mathematically make it without a win, but he's got like 18 spots to make up, and Kurt Busch even more than that.
Yeah, and when you talk about 18 spots, it means you're having to beat the Joey Logano's and the Kyle Busches by 18 spots. Even if you finish second, which is a great day, Joey finishes 15th, boom, there you don't have 18 points.
Right.
you're going home to Homestead not being able to race for a championship. And it's heartbreaking when you realize your season, a 38-race season that we've started back in February at the Daytona 500 is over, and you're only going to Homestead to try to get a tan.
Well, you can certainly get one out there as well. Don't forget, folks, we got a lot more coming up on the program. Johnny Sauter will be along. We'll update you on the schedule for the Motor Racing Network this weekend as well. We'll tell you about the Xfinity Series, and they have an interesting...
Some guy named Kyle won the Xfinity Series, and people are mad, just mad.
Wait, I didn't see any outrage.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
We'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll talk about the truck standings as they battle for their first ever Chase Championship. It's all ahead on Motorsports Monday. If you want to play along, use that Twitter handle, AskMRN. Use the hashtag AskMRN, at MRN Radio. Mine is at WYCAIN. His is at 2Spotter. Hit us up now.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Ready to take the training wheels off your race scanner? Go to fanvision.com and upgrade your experience with FanVision. Not only will you be able to hear the race,
Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets a good run, drafting help from Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Jr. again pulls up alongside for the race lead.
you'll see every moment through live video, instant replays, live stats, and more.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, driver of the #1 Cessna Chevrolet, and I never go to the track without my FanVision. So go to fanvision.com to rent or buy yours today.
You're smart, got your own trucking business, making it happen. What if I told you there was a place online where you could connect with other smart owner-operators just like you? It's an online community called Team Run Smart, where people share advice on truck maintenance, fuel savings, healthy habits on the road, and so much more, all to make your business more profitable. And it's all free. Visit teamrunsmart.com today to check it out. You'll be glad you did. teamrunsmart.com, brought to you by Freightliner Trucks.
It's always at the tracks whenever we race the Sprint Cup Series, the Camping World Truck Series, or the Xfinity Series, and it's timely now because Election Day is Tuesday. If you're watching us live on a Monday, please, if you haven't already, go vote. No matter who you're going to vote for, I think we should get our numbers way up higher. I'd love to see Election Day be a national holiday.
Absolutely, and if you're listening to us on a Wednesday or Thursday, then you did vote. Very good to celebrate your right as a citizen in the United States. If you're watching us on Monday or Tuesday morning, go vote. Regardless of what party or who you like, who you don't like, it's your privilege. Go do it.
Absolutely. A lot of people have, and there's Johnny Sauter chiming in with a God Bless America from Texas a few years ago when there was a restart call that didn't go his way. We'll talk with him a little bit later on in the program. However, first let's talk some Xfinity Series racing. And as you mentioned, Kyle won, and there should have been outrage across the fruited plain.
Man, Kyle's winning them good. He's doing good in the Xfinity Series.
Different Kyle.
Oh.
Kyle Larson.
Oh,
so
Kyle
there was
Larson.
no outrage, no people saying we got to do something.
They didn't change the rules again?
Well, they've already changed them for next year, which we'll talk a little bit more about in on-track, off-track. There you see the finishing order: Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, and Daniel Suarez. Suarez leads the standings by 1 point over Elliott Sadler. Eric Jones is third, the rookie, and then Blake Cook, the Cinderella story, hanging right in there. He's got a 1 point cushion in that fourth and final spot to see who's going to race for a championship in Homestead. How about that if he would get to race for it for the championship?
We've had him on the show numerous times. Very unique arrangement with the sponsor/owner of the race team. Wrecked his primary car early in practice, pulled the backup car out, and was still to maintain a top 4 standing, 1 point ahead of Justin Allgaier at the powerhouse of junior motorsports. And they're over there fledging along. And they've got some help, and we get it. We saw a lot of crew members from Richard Childress Racing helping those guys get that backup car ready to go out and perform at the level that they did. But again, my Cinderella story, I can't wait. I hope he can make it through Phoenix and be one of of the top 4 to go to Homestead and be able to that's just a great story to hang your hat on. He won't be happy simply showing up at Homestead as a top 4. He wants to compete knowing he can get that championship.
Yeah, he really can. And speaking of that, normally we'd play the winner one here, but I want to hear from Blake Cook because it was a cool interview. You mentioned he wrecked the primary car and had all kinds of trouble. Here's what he told our Kyle Rickey after the race.
I mean, the day was all uphill from crashing first lap in our primary car. You know, my team, really proud of my lead filter team for rebounding, getting our car out there with about an hour left in practice, getting it driving good, and then going out there to qualify in the final round. We're pretty proud of that. And then we fought a little bit of handling issues in the race, and we really wanted to be in that top 10, but we can't complain about the top 15 because we're still in the chase. And my speed road penalty, I think that was the first one of my career, and it had to happen, one of the most important races of my life. But just me, Chris got on the radio saying, I'm not mad, man, you're pushing it. I like to see you pushing it, and that's what you got to do. You can't lay over on these races. You got to give it your all.
How about that? He really is giving it his all, and it won't be for lack of effort if they don't make the championship.
You can hear the thrill of victory out of his weekend. Yeah, he finished 15th. But it's what his little team, his little engine that could, the hare and the tortoise, and here he is just chugging along in his backup car with a little bit of help from RCR and those guys, and he was able to still bring home a top 15 finish after making a critical mistake on pit road. But nobody was upset because they're all pulling in the same direction, and we see the result. Again, top 4 by a point over Justin Allgaier.
Blake Cook, certainly one of the coolest stories of the year. All right, now to the winner. It was Kyle Larson. It was the Kyle who doesn't make everybody mad when he wins in the Xfinity Series. Here's what he had to say afterwards.
Yeah, I love seeing Elliott Sadler behind me for restarts. He helped me get the win at Pocono earlier this year, and every time he's behind me, we can get a big run. So Ineos Chevy was definitely a top 3 car, probably first or second best on the long runs. Short runs, I was terrible. I was too tight. Made a mistake because I was loose up top and got in the wall. Actually, my car tightened up a little bit after that. So it's weird with these Xfinity cars. You can scrape the wall and go faster after that. So enjoyed the race out there. Glad to get a win, and got one more left for me at Homestead, so try and get 2 in a row.
How about that, though? He is a guy who loves that high groove anyway. The 1.5 miles play right into his hand, and what he said there about the Xfinity car, you can kind of scrape the wall and even go faster. That plays right into his wheelhouse.
Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't play into the wheelhouse for Brad Keselowski and the 22 Discount Tire team. Sat on the pole, was one of their first poles in several years for Brad. Showed up with a new design body for 2016. We're trying to get the team better. We haven't really performed at the level that we've been spoiled by several years, winning multiple races with different drivers, and that team has not visited victory lane yet in 2016. That was our closest effort. Came home second, a great restart. Like you said, Kyle Larson was actually second place. Brad was the leader and got a good push from Elliott. They went in side by side, and that outside lane has a little bit of an advantage if you can go in side by side into the corner to slow that bottom lane down a little bit, and Kyle Larson was able to get up there, run against the wall, and then run away and take that lead and go to victory lane.
Speaking of that, 2 things jump to mind. One is I just saw where Discount Tire has re-upped with the 22 car in the Xfinity Series and an associate for Logano and Keselowski for next year on the Cup side. But there's an Owners' Championship to consider in addition to the Xfinity Drivers' Championship.
You know, one of the things that's unique about the Sprint Cup Series is that every driver drives most of the time for the whole year for one owner. You have one driver, one owner. So we very rarely talk about the Owners' Championship. But every time, last year with the champion, and every year we have a Drivers' Champion and a separate Owners' Champion. Normally it's the same team. This year, and years past, the Xfinity and the Camping World Truck Series, because drivers move around in seats, you have a Drivers' Championship and an Owners' Championship. So this year, just like you mentioned, Daniel Suarez is leading the Drivers' Championship, but the Owners' Championship is actually being led by the 22 team. Very unique situation because the 18 car, Joe Gibbs Racing, has 11 wins with Kyle Busch. They're
running away with the owners' points, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, no, because the consistency of the 22 team with Joey, Ryan, and Brad in that car has been at a higher level than we've seen from the 18 car. Now, granted, Matt Tiff was in that car for a little bit. He was out. But Kyle Busch hasn't run every single race in that car. So the owners
Well, we've been told that he had, right? Haven't we been told that?
Yeah, well, he's won just about every race he's entered for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a very unique battle. So the 22 team is leading that Owners' Championship with one more race in Phoenix to go to, which Brad's going to be driving. And if we can go into the top 4 points, then we can go to Homestead and try to race for an owner's championship. And it's kind of a different scenario. We celebrate the drivers so much.
Yeah.
We get used to seeing drivers, but the owners are what the money. They're the ones that are funding it, and they have their own championship as well.
It's kind of like the quarterback in the NFL gets all the attention, good or bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when he wins, he takes care of his linemen. So that's how that works.
They all do that,
Exactly.
and that's a good thing for them to absolutely participate in for sure. You mentioned Daniel Suarez leading the standings. He is 1 point ahead of Elliott Sadler, and here's what Daniel had to say following the race at Texas on Saturday.
I think it was good. We had some up and downs with some issues with the alternator. We were having some issues with the battery as well. But luckily we made it through and with another top 5.
Talks about heading to Phoenix next week. How do you like that racetrack?
I think Phoenix is a good racetrack for us. It's been a good racetrack for us in the past, and hopefully we can make a good run next week and move into the last one and most important race, Homestead.
There you go, Daniel Suarez, and what a story that would be as NASCAR tries to get more into the Latino market, and he would absolutely help with that. He's leading the standings by 1, but as we've seen, anything can happen at any time, and he could very well leave Phoenix all locked in or completely out of the picture.
You think the folks down in South Florida would appreciate a Latino driver running for a championship?
Wouldn't that be gigantic? Yeah, that would be huge,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They have a little bit of a flair of Hispanic down there, don't they?
Yeah. When they made the announcement recently, NASCAR did, that they were reviving the Mexico Series, they took Daniel down to help make the announcement, and boy, he was mobbed about everywhere he went from the pictures I saw.
He didn't even have an accent until he went down there.
Okay, really? You don't think so? I like Daniel Suarez. I think he's cool.
I love the guy. He's a great kid.
And he finally broke through after being so close so many times this year and notched a couple of wins.
There isn't anybody much happier than him.
No, there's not.
You know, anytime inside the car, outside the car, after a bad day, good day, he's a happy kid.
Absolutely, he is. Now, on the other side of the equation is Justin Allgaier. He is now 1 point on the outside looking up at Blake Cook. Here's what he told our Kyle Rickey after the race.
This chase has been awesome to be a part of this year, and I want to still be in. I love racing with my buddy Blake Cook, so you know we're both going into it, and I know I got a good competitor that I'm racing against, and you know there's still 3 other guys in front of them that anything could happen, and there's still a couple guys behind us that are close enough to be within striking distance if they have a good day. So we knew when it got down to this point that it was going to be elbows up and dig deep, and Kansas really hurt. I think for us, even though we came back and rallied to a good finish, we were running well inside the top 10, and we gave up a lot of points. So, we have to go to Phoenix and do what we know how to do and have a good solid run just like we did there in the spring, and we'll be in good shape.
That's the interesting thing to me about this is now with the way the point system is, a point means a position on the track. So he's essentially got to beat Blake Cook by 1 spot. Ryan Reed is right behind, like 4 points behind him. There's a jumble from Eric Jones all the way back through Ryan Reed where guys can move up or down very easily this coming weekend at Phoenix.
Yeah, the guy leading the points, if he has a bad day, he doesn't go to Homestead for a championship. The guy in 5th, if he has a good day, he can be your leader and your top seed going into Homestead.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're looking for. We're looking for this kind of competition, the excitement level. We don't know the outcome in advance. Years ago, back when they were 4 and 5 wide, upside down, crossing the start
every single race
at the same time,
mm-hmm.
I
remember those days.
We clinched our championship 4 or 5 weeks in advance sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
This race here, we don't know the outcome of our top 5 or 6 drivers in the points. Can Brendan Gaughan make it? Yes, he's 39 out, but if he wins in Phoenix, he goes to Homestead.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys know that they're going to Phoenix with only one intention. Him and Darrell Wallace Jr. going to Phoenix to win a race to go to Homestead and race for a championship.
It's really cool to see. It's been a lot of fun along the way with the Xfinity Series, and they had the Dash for Cash money earlier. Justin Allgaier was one of the winners of that. A lot of cool stuff to see for those guys.
When you go to Phoenix, you lay it on the line. You realize that the culmination of your entire season is based on those 8 drivers and how you come out of Phoenix. You want to be in the top 4, whether it's by points, whether it's with a win, or even if somebody has to have a bad day and it gets you in, you don't care. You want to go to Homestead being one of the top 4 drivers.
Absolutely. And the Xfinity Series will be on Motor Racing Network this weekend. We will have that one for you on Saturday afternoon beginning at 7 Eastern Time. The Camping World Truck Series, remember, they've moved that race back a little bit. It'll be 8 o'clock local time, so 10 o'clock Eastern Time for folks who are wanting to catch that on the Motor Racing Network as well.
Yeah, not too many people happy about the old time change.
Makes for an awful long day on Friday.
Well, we have weather issues a lot of times, and we move up a race 5 minutes, and everybody questions it. But all of a sudden now we can take that truck race and really just push it 2 hours away for the TV networks. We get it. I understand why, but I don't know of anybody that went, man, that's the greatest idea in the world.
Or remember, just a year ago, everybody said, it never rains in Phoenix. Don't worry.
Yeah, we broke that.
We practically drowned.
We broke that drought.
Yes, we did.
We fixed that problem.
I think they got a year's worth of rainfall in a day out there last year. So anything can still happen, folks. We've got a big show still to come for you. We've got on track, off track in this segment as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment. We'll have Johnny Sauter along a little bit later to tell us some.
Brought my Joey along. I brought my Joey. It was good
I thought
luck.
you were going to put that thing away.
My mom told me that. Put your Joey away.
You should have listened to her.
Well, I brought it because it was good luck for Johnny Sauter. So I'm
okay. All right. Well, that's a good enough excuse.
That's why I brought my Joey.
All right. We'll do that. We'll take another time out here on Motorsports Monday. When we come back, on track, off track. Stick around.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvick, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free bloomin' onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. 1 per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable no matter where you are.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are designed to keep up with you no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you, so you can go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable all day long.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans, the most comfortable jeans you will ever wear. Try on a pair today.
Wrangler, be comfortable.
It's all over at Martinsville, Virginia. Richard Petty has pulled it off.
Throwback Thursday, classic MRN race broadcasts on MRN.com.
Waltrip will win the track race to turn 3. Earnhardt gets him. Hard into the wall goes Waltrip. Hard goes Earnhardt. Everybody else spins either way.
Out of the number 4 corner down to the line. Neil Bonnet is going to win. The Northwestern Bank 400. He'll beat Waltrip a 2-car length.
What a finish here at North Wilkesboro.
Throwback Thursday, Thursdays at 1 Eastern on MRN.com.
I'm Brad Keselowski, and you're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with Joey Meyer and Woody Cain. Joey Meyer, the only person I know that talks more than Woody Cain.
God bless America.
There you go, Johnny Sauter and Brad Keselowski. I'm kind of speechless. He was busting us both there. Brad was.
Well, it's funny. I talked during the entire race, and I say things, and I chuckled yesterday because I'll say, we got 20 laps on your tires, and he'll go, how many laps on our tires? And I just chuckle, I'm like, 20. I was concentrating, he said. I'm like, so
lost in thought.
That's exactly
deep
right.
into his game.
Yep.
Got his game face on. All right, let's talk a little bit of on track, off track, because a lot happened over the weekend. This is the portion of the program where we talk about some things we think are going well and some things that aren't going so well in the world of motorsports. For you, what is on track?
In 2015, SMI voted Track of the Year Texas Motor Speedway. And it's not just another track. They do a lot of activities there. They have different series with NASCAR and IndyCar and Legends and things of that nature. But one of the things that Texas Motor Speedway and Eddie Gossage gets is that it's an event. It's not just a race. We're not just showing up at 12:15 for a 1 o'clock race or whatever the situation might be and sitting down and watching 334 laps of Dale Jr. going around in circles and cheering, great, great treat.
Wait, what?
Yep. Yep. They get the fact that you want to show up at 8 in the morning and be there for the entire afternoon and go home entertained. Okay?
The tailgating experience.
Exactly right. They have the everything about being at Texas Motor Speedway. They just have events. They have things going on. Families, women, men, everybody can be entertained, and they get it there at Texas Motor Speedway. And it's a different atmosphere when you go. They have the world's largest TV screen. That's the start. You walk in, it's the world's largest TV screen, okay? The world's largest.
The biggest one in the world.
Not just a big one.
I got you.
Okay.
Right. The biggest.
Okay, but on that video screen, they entertain you all day long with different videos. And this weekend here, they used a variation of Step Brothers, a movie with Will Ferrell and some other guys, and they put Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch, and they animated them inside the video. They had Top Gun with Carl Edwards, the actual movie with Carl Edwards flying around, but he was Tom Cruise in this Top Gun movie. And they just entertained you. But one of the cool things that you see is the crossover. We obviously had a very long rain delay on Sunday. The fans were very bored sitting in the stands, so what does Texas do? On the world's largest TV, they play the Dallas Cowboys game. And they allowed they allowed the people in the stands, and they played over the loudspeaker. It wasn't just a picture. And we've seen that before at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We see the Indy 500 being played. What used to be the largest TV is no longer the largest TV because now it's in Texas. They have the world's largest TV. They just get it. They really do. Eddie Gossage does an amazing job with entertaining people throughout the entire weekend, not just putting on a race.
I have personally seen at Texas Motor Speedway them fire a woman out of a cannon over the top of a garage into a net, and her top came off. I have personally witnessed that at Texas Motor Speedway. No kidding.
You got
extreme midget wrestling. I had no idea it was going to happen. I'm just walking through the garage, and all of a sudden you hear, boom, and here she comes flying through the garage, literally in the air like a superhero.
You got pictures?
I do not. Somebody does, though. I can't remember who it was. I want to say maybe it was Marty Smith who got the pictures of it, but somebody does have pictures.
All right.
Yeah. Extreme midget wrestling, a guy inside of a cage riding a motorcycle around. They call it the Wild Asphalt Circus. They really do a great job with it.
They had motorcycle jumps. Again, it's an entertaining event whenever you go to Texas Motor Speedway. Eddie Gossage gets it. Kudos to you.
Absolutely. All right, for me, on track is going to be something that might sound like a negative, but it's really not, and that is weather warriors. We've had some rain from the pit of hell this year a couple of times. We've seen a couple of bad ones at Pocono where it knocked us out of races, had to get delayed and go to the next day. We saw a bunch of rain at Texas yesterday, but through it all, everybody wants to talk about the drying and how long that takes. And boy, the Air Titans didn't really miraculously cure all of our water woes, and they won't. I think people have a misunderstanding that they thought this was going to fix everything all at once and they could instantly dry the track. That's not what they said. They could make it better, and that's what they've done. They've done a great job this year of battling through some horrific conditions in terms of water to get that off the track and try as hard as they can to get racing in on the day that it was scheduled. It might be 6 hours later, it might be 3 hours later, but at least they're doing everything they can to try and make sure they get that race in on the day. And it's a Herculean effort, the amount of fuel that they use between the Air Titans and the jet dryers and all the other things, dragging tires even they do sometimes, trying to fix weepers at certain tracks, everything that they do to try and get that race in. It would be very easy to just say, we'll race it tomorrow. And they don't.
We have to be, first of all, a great job of plugging Hercules Tires, who's one of our sponsors.
There you go. There's Hercules
as
itself.
the effort for Texas Motor Speedway. But we have to be careful what we wish for. Texas Motor Speedway, we saw earlier in the year with the IndyCar Series, actually had to cancel the entire weekend. They couldn't get the track dry, and they came back several months later to
the tunnel even filled up
to finish a race that they had actually started already. It was so wet they couldn't dry it for days on end. We experienced a similar type issue of that last night at the event. It didn't rain. It didn't deluge down 40 days and 40 nights of rain. It had a decent rain. The track did not want to dry. But we have to be careful what we wish for, because you know how you fix that? You pave it.
That's what I started to see some people talking
about.
About
don't want to pave a track that has such good raceability.
Now, why?
Because it becomes a single-lane track like we've seen at Kansas, like we've seen at Michigan, because the pavement is so good. It does fix weepers. It does make it easier to dry. But then the racing that we get accustomed to at Texas disappears for a number of years. They don't have extreme weather conditions that will age that track
It is aged in now, though, and that's the good thing.
And that's exactly right. We saw the Kyle Larsons of the world run up against the wall. We saw Matt and Brad Keselowski sitting at the white line. If you repave that facility, you reduce that 5-lane track down to 1 lane, and makes for the racing is just horrendous.
Yeah,
until
a one-groove track.
Until the asphalts get aged. So they did a really good job of working. We're very cool temperatures, very high humidity, very low wind. Everything that's not conducive to drawing a racetrack, we had at Texas Motor Speedway. we started the race with weepers. That we don't see that very often.
Right.
They were like, they threw their hands up in the air and we kept trying to dry it, and they'd run jet dryers over it. And as soon as they'd go by, the water would come back up through. And they said, this is as good. They gave the drivers, said 10 laps. Anybody say no? None of the drivers understood, or all the drivers understood, there was nothing else they could do. Let's try this, and it was very successful.
It really was. Okay, now let's talk about some things that maybe aren't going quite so well, and where we praise Texas on the one hand, you've got an item that I wholeheartedly agree with here.
As good as Texas Motor Speedway and Eddie Gossage does at entertaining the folks, Texas Motor Speedway and their departure plan after a race, and I used escape on Saturday or Sunday as a word, but it's simply the departure plan when you're leaving the garage is like playing the lottery. It's like you have no idea what you're going to experience, but chances are you're going to waste a lot of time, money, and be really frustrated. I actually sent a text to a manager portion of Texas Motor Speedway, Don Hawk, who him and I used to work together at DEI. I said, we have to talk about this. They put up more cones every day in different locations. You leave on Friday after the truck race. It's different than when you leave on Saturday after the Xfinity race. It's different than when you leave on Sunday after the Sprint Cup race.
In terms of what lane you need to be
in
to go
to your
destination.
Logistics. The sheriffs, they do a fantastic job of putting these cones down, and they probably have a really good idea of what they want. It's the people in the cars have no idea. If I'm leaving the tunnel and I left on Friday, and I'm trying to get to my hotel or trying to get to the airport, what lane works? Well, on Saturday, what lane worked to get to the airport won't work because it's different.
Yeah.
And we don't know that. Now, you'd think after being in business since 1997, there would be a pattern. I've been going since 1997, twice a year. There isn't a pattern. We'd get used to it. Sometimes you can go down the wrong way, which they have going eastbound, westbound. You can jump on the interstate. It works great. Other times you try to do it, and it's not. It's
you might go north-south.
You have no idea. We simply want a departure plan. Just give us a map. Send it to us on email. It's easy to do. You guys have the plan. The police people that put up all the cones have the plan.
Somebody does.
Pass it on. We don't know what it is.
Right. That's the frustrating thing is you leave after the truck race on a Friday night and you're in the middle lane to get where you need to go for your hotel or airport or what have you. You come back and try to do the same thing on Saturday night, and it's different. That lane will take you to a different spot. I've certainly experienced the same thing there, and it's very frustrating.
And don't hit a cone.
God bless America.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Because
don't hit a cone.
They frown upon that.
Yeah, you'd rather run over 5 people instead of a cone. That's how upset they get about their cone layouts.
Yeah, and once you get in that wrong lane, you're done. You can't get back
No.
over to where you need to be.
And that's all we're asking. It's a little more efficient if the people that are actually driving the cars, which is me and Woody and guys like us leaving the racetrack.
Or fans even.
Absolutely. Know where we need to be, and that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. I've been in that spot before. Man, it's frustrating. You think
you get the Joey Award. You agree with me.
You leave the track and you're with somebody and you go, okay, remember tomorrow we need to be in this lane to get back to the hotel, and you do it and you're wrong. And boy, that's frustrating. Anyway, we've Joeyed that up now, so let's move on. Off track for me is going to be chase spoilers. I know we talked earlier about there was no outrage when Kyle Larson won the Xfinity Series race, but I like the rule that they've put into place for next year saying that guys can't race in chase races for the other divisions, and you don't want to have a guy stealing the thunder. I don't have anything against Kyle Larson. I don't have anything against Kyle Busch running these races, but I think especially when you're in a championship format, you really should let the guys battling for the championship battle for that particular race. I understand the guys want to get some more seat time, want to see what the tires are going to do on a particular weekend. Fans want to see some of the biggest names in the sport race in the Xfinity Series, but I just think it takes something away from the guys running for a championship to have another division come in. The top 3 in the Xfinity Series were Cup drivers.
Yeah, I'm an old school guy. I've been around racing for a number of years. I actually had a full head of hair back back when I started racing. I've got several pictures that you would chuckle at.
Oh, we got to get one of those on the screen.
Yeah, we'll get some.
Okay.
I mean, I wore Joey. I don't mind.
All right.
I have no problem laughing at
I'm
myself.
right there with you. We'll get Annie to get on it.
But I liked the old school system just because it was old school. It was what we grew up with. But now we're in 2016. We have people that are spending a ginormous, there you go, amount of money with Xfinity and Camping World, and they want their product promoted. When we race the Cup guys in the Xfinity Series, Xfinity loses a little bit of brand identity. So next year they're going to alleviate that not completely get eliminated, because guys like Ryan Blaney and Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon, they'll still be able to race in these Xfinity races in the chase. But guys that have more than 5 years experience and you can only run 10 races outside of the chase races to get your sponsor involvement, like Discount Tire, Joey Logano.
Some people have deals already set, and they didn't want
Absolutely.
to throw those out the window. I understand.
Yep. So it is going to be a better brand exposure to have your Xfinity drivers only racing in the Xfinity chase, and it makes 100% sense.
Yeah, I'm certainly eager to see that come into play next year as well, and it's a welcome change that I think will benefit everybody in the long run. All right, we've got a couple of more things here to do before we get to Johnny Sauter coming up. One of them I wanted to make sure we heard is Matt Tifft, who we learned is going to be in the 18 car at Joe Gibbs Racing full-time next season. Here's what he had to say after the Xfinity race.
A big learning experience for sure. Just trying to learn how to run around the tops on these places on old wore-out tracks, and I just haven't done it that much. And just going into 2017, what we got going on there, it's just so huge for me to learn those steps. And so next year when I get into those races, I'll be able to carry momentum, carry speed throughout the race. We started the race really strong, but then I think once you saw some of the more experienced guys get to the front, they knew what to do. So just got to keep learning off of that and go back and study up a little bit more, and it'll get better from here on out.
How about that? It's cool to see after he had brain surgery, as you pointed out several times this year, and now he's going to be in a full-time ride in one of the best cars in the garage for 2017.
Pop quiz, how many races in the Xfinity car has he run so far?
I don't know off the top of my head.
10.
10.
So we fail to realize when he hops in a high-power, powerhouse team and Kyle Busch is winning all these races, he's won more races than Matt's run. So we get a little disappointed when Matt, the 18 car, NOS Energy, Joe Gibbs Camry, is not sitting up fighting side by side with Kyle Larson and Brad Keselowski and those guys. We tend to forget it's 10 races. He is. You talk about a rookie. Not only is he a rookie, but he had to jump in after this little thing he had. Brain surgery.
Yeah.
Okay, they took a piece of his brain out, and he's recovering. He's doing a fantastic job. And now they have rewarded him because they see talent. He's got talent. He has the ability. And now they rewarded him with a full-time ride next year over at that 18, whatever car number. It might be the 18 or 19 or 20.
We talked about Blake Cook earlier being one of the coolest stories. Matt Tifft is certainly one of the coolest stories as well for 2016. All right, a timeout here on Motorsports Monday. When we come back, Johnny Sauter is back because he won again, and he promised us.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvick, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free bloomin' onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. One per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
If you or your family love the freedom of swimming any time of year, if you love sharing good times and making great memories, or if you want one of the best total body workouts ever, then it's time to discover the 3 C's of your very own endless pool. The first C is convenience. Imagine swimming year-round in your own private swimming pool, installed indoors or out, just steps away. The second C is comfort. With sculpted spa seats and your own adjustable temperature, you can easily escape the stress of your day. And the third C is cost. Your endless pool is an affordable luxury at a fraction of the cost of a regular pool. And here's a bonus C, choice. Because when you call for your free Endless Pool Idea Kit, you'll receive information on our full line of pools to suit your budget and location.
Call now for free information. 800-283-8089. 800-283-8089.
Chase Elliott can't do anything with him. Johnny Sauter wins the Texas Roadhouse 200 at Martinsville Speedway.
Johnny Sauter, the Smoky Mountain Herbal Snuff Chevrolet, wins at Martinsville, punches his ticket to the Championship 4, and he joins us on the guest line now.
If you can believe this or not, I'm calling you from my children's school, and I'm sitting in the principal's office using his phone because I didn't have any cell phones this year. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me. Hopefully we're doing this next week.
Yeah, there you go.
Hemrick peeks out of line down the back straightaway. Crafton trying to fend him off. He's forced off the bottom. Hemrick alongside for second, but it's all Johnny Sauter out front.
Johnny Sauter with a lead of about 6 to 7 truck lengths. He comes to the tri-oval, and Johnny Sauter wins at Texas Motor Speedway.
Welcome back, welcome back.
There you go, to the theme of Welcome Back Cotter, kind of a school from the principal's office theme, and he's won the second race in a row, this time in the number 21 Allegiant Travel Chevrolet. Johnny, congratulations again, man. You guys are heating up at just the right time.
Oh, thank you very much. I said last week, hopefully we're doing this again next week, and here we are. So, it was a good run. Truck was really good on a long run the other night, and like you said, heating up at the right time. So we just got to keep it going for another, week and a half here. And hopefully we're holding up that championship trophy down there in Miami.
All right, well, I'm going to have to ask. We hear it all the time from a driver that doesn't qualify well. Man, this truck doesn't qualify well, but it sure drives well. What happened in qualifying?
That's a good question. Because Joe, my crew chief, was questioning me the same way. So don't feel like you're the first one to say this to me, but and he works on the trucks. But to be honest with you, I've won Texas a couple times, and I don't know that I ever started better than 15th when I won there the first two times. So I think it was a deal where we took a truck that maybe had a little bit more drag and substantially more amounts of downforce, which we think is going to race better on those racetracks that are a little bit more wore out, like Texas is getting, where handling and grip is a premium. So that's the route we took, and but that doesn't explain Spencer, because my teammate, because he sat on the pole and had a dominant truck. But needless to say, a lot of times you just focus on trying to make them drive good for the long run, and making sure you can stay in the throttle as long as you can all night long, especially in the trucks at these 1.5 miles. And that's kind of what we worked on with our Allegiant Travel Chevy the other day in practice, and I felt really good about it. Even after qualifying, everybody was kind of questioning, why we were so slow, but I think by the end of the first 20-minute caution clock, we were up into the top 5. So, just good handling truck. I mean, that's the key. 3
wins, 13th place was your best qualifying effort.
How about that? So there you go. If you start too far up front, maybe it's not a good sign at all then, right? I guess.
Well, I don't know. I'd like to be able to sit on the pole and lead every lap and win the race, but sometimes that's maybe not realistic. So for me, I don't know. It seems like this year, we qualify well and we race well, and then there's weekends where we haven't qualified that well, and we still end up having a pretty good truck. And a lot of the stuff we've been working on has just been trying to make the stuff drive the way that I feel comfortable with it, and I feel like we've honed in on a package, and have really got it, a good direction on where we need to be with a lot of our stuff. So I don't know. I'm pretty pumped up for these next couple weeks for sure.
I got to ask you, are you calling from the principal's office again?
No, actually, I'm a little bit under the weather, if you can believe that or not, living up here in the Great White North. So, yeah, I got something I just can't get rid of. I don't know, cough and all that, but everybody around me, my neighbors, and they're all sick too. So,
oh boy,
I guess that's just part of this time of year.
Yeah, it certainly is. I wanted to ask you, Johnny, because we were talking earlier with all the rain they had at Texas on Sunday and the difficulty drying the track with weepers and all that, you started to see that old cursed sign where people were saying, uh-oh, they might want to repave this track. Why do drivers want a worn-out racetrack? Because it's counterintuitive. You want your street car to be smooth as silk and not go over all the bumps and not have the tires wear out, but you guys want just the opposite. How come?
Well, I think it just makes from the driver's perspective, it makes the racing a lot more fun. Racing, I don't care where you're at, across the board is fun. But for some reason, those type of racetracks, and, we've said it about Atlanta, and we say it about Texas now, and I personally was there to try to watch them on Thursday. I think it had rained, not for very long, because I was there that morning, and they were still trying to dry that racetrack at 7 o'clock that night and couldn't get it to dry like 4 hours after the rain had stopped. So, but it just, those racetracks develop a lot of character. It's getting pretty rough. I mean, depending on where you run through turns 1 and 2, that used to be you drive over the tunnel that gets you into the infield there, and there was a couple swells, but those swells are all the way across the racetrack now. It doesn't matter whether you run in the bottom, the middle, or the top. So, just wore out pavement puts a real big emphasis on handling. And, it makes you feel like a hero when your stuff's handling good and you can drive by those guys. And I think that's what a lot of guys like about a wore-out racetrack. So I'm all for leaving Texas alone.
Yeah, sure is fun to watch.
An interesting aspect of this new chase is not only have you won twice and you've blocked somebody from not winning a race, but you've actually blocked these guys and you're making them points race. Is that fun?
I'm having a blast.
I bet.
You know, this is pretty awesome. I really felt like going to Martinsville. It's been a great racetrack, you know, throughout the years for me, and seemed to always really run really well there. But you know, the way we've been running on our mile and a half stuff, I got to be honest with you. We tried something a little bit different than what we had been working on all year, and we ran it at Las Vegas a couple weeks ago. And you know, we didn't have a great finish, but I told Joe, I was like, listen, this thing we're getting close. Like it's feeling the way that I need it to feel. And we had an oil leak in that race, and it kind of prohibited us from being able to have a better run, in my opinion. But, you know, it's just all about timing and having the right setup. So, you know, we've honed in on some stuff that I think is going to be pretty awesome at Homestead, or at least I'm hoping. I keep telling myself that. Now, whether it is or it isn't, we'll find out. But being able to put those guys in a position to have to points race each other and the way that it's stacked, I mean, that's got to be a nerve-wracking position to be in because, you know, the first round of the chase was kind of like that for me, where we were, you know, just trying to finish races to accumulate points to get to the top 6. So that race at Phoenix is going to be pretty interesting for a lot of those guys for sure.
You know, on the books, this is your first year at GMS, but it's not your first year with the core group of crew chief, spotter, driver relationship. What is it with you, Joe, and Tab? You've been together for so long. It's very important. I think the communication level is overlooked a little bit. How is that relationship with you and Joe really working?
Well, I think anybody in any form of life that I don't care if you're running a race team or a restaurant, you know, I think, you know, and don't take this the wrong way, I've never ran a restaurant, but I'm assuming that it's all about people and relationships and, you know, just having trust in one another and so on and so forth. So, but, you know, people and, you know, those relationships are key, and it's hard a lot of times to find people that, you know, maybe necessarily think a lot like you do, and if they don't think a lot like you can say, okay, well, I don't agree with this, but I'm willing to try it, and so on. So, you know, egos a lot of times can sometimes make people not want to try something or whatever. So, I don't know. I've just known Joe since I was a young guy. Our dads raced against each other up here in, you know, mainly Wisconsin, Midwest area, and you know, you mentioned Tab. Tab is an awesome spotter. I put him up against anybody. There's something about Tab. He just keeps me kind of pumped up, but at the same time, he keeps me calm. And, you know, he just, even the other night with 8 laps to go, and I felt like we were too far back to do anything. He's like, just come on now, just keep hitting your marks. And I never said a word the last 20 laps, and he's just on there. You're going to get these guys. They've been coming back to us all night long. And sure enough, I find myself driving around the outside of them. So, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, everybody's, you know, just digging together, and you know, that's the key is you know, just being able to think that you're all on the same page and trusting one another.
You know, you say keep you calm. We've never really seen you be mad or excited too many times, Johnny. Especially at Texas. Texas. You were very patriotic years ago at Texas.
That's right.
God bless America.
There you go.
There
right?
you go.
Yeah.
God bless America.
It's perfect for political season, right?
Yeah, perfect. You know, yeah, you know, I think about that race all the time, and you know, things obviously that I could have did differently that night. And I guarantee you, the world was thinking that I was going to blow up and you know, probably say something that I shouldn't have. But in an instance like that, what do you say? I mean, It's like, hey, you know, God bless America. So
yep, that's a classic, man. And you know, it's like our moms all told us, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all, right?
That's exactly right. So, you know, hey, I screwed up that night. What else do you want me to say? I mean, it's the guy could sit there and make excuses like I see a lot of people do, but you know, if I screw up, I'll be the first to tell you.
Hey, looking ahead now, Johnny, do you have a favorite truck in the GMS fleet, and do you have a say-so in which truck goes where, or do you leave that entirely to the crew?
Now, they don't listen to anything I have to say. So, you know, I mean, GMS, obviously, and I think we touched on this last week, you know, we build our own chassis in-house, and you know, we're hanging our own bodies in-house. So I think that the guys in the shop have built, you know, between myself, Ben Kennedy, and Spencer, and, you know, Kaz Garala, and all the guys that have been running the 4th truck with Enfinger and Larson and so on and so forth, I think they've built 29 new trucks this year. So they've honed in on a pretty good package, and to be honest with you, a lot of our trucks are very similar, you know, the builds and the aero numbers and so on and so forth down the stretch, like you see a lot of teams doing. So, I can honestly sit here and tell you that I think all of our trucks are really good. So, I don't have any preconceived notions on a truck that, we should be taking here or there. It's, across the board. Even a lot of times when they're building the stuff, we don't even know who's going to get what truck. So, I have confidence in everything we're bringing, especially lately.
Yeah, especially lately for sure.
Well, we have to go to Phoenix. It has a very unique layout. The only thing I'm going to ask you is I want to talk to you next week. Is that a date?
I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to do everything I can to, try to make that happen. That's been a great racetrack for me.
Yeah.
And I've never won there. So I love that racetrack. I love that part of the country. I love going out there. So, and felt like I had a truck that was maybe capable of winning it last year. So, I don't know. I think we're close. I got a lot of confidence. I know the guys got a lot of confidence, and, we're going to be doing everything we can and firing on all 8 cylinders out there for sure.
Boy, and why shouldn't you? 2 in a row for Johnny Sauter now. He's locked into the championship race at Homestead coming up in a couple of weeks now, but Phoenix is on the docket first. Johnny, congratulations again, and thanks for your time. Get well soon.
All right, guys, thanks for having me on, and I'll talk to you next week, hopefully.
Yeah, there you go. Man. All right, today, how about that, man? That's a guy, remember when we had him on at the beginning of the year, and he said, boy, I don't think this one win's going to be enough. We got to get better. And now here at the end of the year, they're just clicking him off, and suddenly, like you pointed out, he's making the other guys have to scramble behind him.
Yeah, that's what the cool thing about it is, Johnny's locked in two races in a row with the 3-race chase scenario we have, Phoenix being the 3rd race of that 2nd round. But you have William Byron, Christopher Bell, Matt Kraft, and Timothy Peters, Ben Kennedy are all jumbled up right there. Any one of those drivers can be the driver's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. If Ben Kennedy wins a teammate, he jumps in to the 2nd seed. William Byron, Christopher Bell out of the KBM powerhouse, who we all expected them to be right in the they could miss it.
Yeah, they could.
And that's again the intensity going to Phoenix at a track that's a short, fast, short track mentality, fast speed, aero handling. It's a big package there in Phoenix. We all expect Kevin Harvick to do well, but the trucks in the Xfinity will put up a big challenge for those drivers.
All right, they will. It's a triple header weekend coming up at Phoenix. We'll talk about that next right here on Motorsports Monday.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable no matter where you are.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are designed to keep up with you no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you, so you can go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable all day long.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans, the most comfortable jeans you will ever wear. Try on a pair today.
Wrangler, be comfortable.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvick, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free bloomin' onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. 1 per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
Are you in the concrete, construction, or waste industry? Are repair bills starting to pile up as your current mixer, dump, or waste truck starts to show its age? Before you make that plunge, consider an alternative to buying new. The Housby 2G second generation program is the complete refurbishment of your existing used trucks without the hefty price tag that comes with it. Extend the life of your current trucks today and give yourself an economic alternative to that new truck price. For more information, visit Housby.com. Housby, an official sponsor of NASCAR for over 40 years.
More patriotic stuff from the racetrack there as we head into election season or wrap up election season. If you're watching on a Monday or a Tuesday, please go out and vote, folks, no matter who you support. Let's get those turnout numbers up through the roof where they should be in a country as great as ours. I'm Woody. He's Joey. Heading to Phoenix now coming up. Before we get to that, your driver kind of got into a Twitter war with some folks over the whole concussion thing after Matt DiBenedetto was not cleared to drive on Sunday. Zach Copeland wants to know, with the concussion topic, would the same people saying you should absolutely have to sit out with a concussion be okay for a guy being told he has to sit out with a fever?
Yeah, the interesting aspect of the concussion argument is it's never been talked about that having a concussion reduces your ability to perform at a high level. The concussion scenario comes about as being able to get more injured or quickly injured more quickly.
Quickerly?
See that?
There you go.
There you go. That's today's word. Being injured quicker after a second injury and doing more damage to yourself. But as race car drivers, and this is Brad's standpoint, or is his mentality, you assume a risk of being injured simply by getting in the car. You should not have a doctor assume that risk or take that risk away from you simply because you have a concussion. There's arguments for both sides, kind of like the electoral 2016. There's arguments for blue and red and for both candidates. I'm not going to get into that, but that's exactly how it is. It's a very touchy subject when a doctor can take away your livelihood.
But an interesting discussion for sure.
Yes.
Also, Mr. Wine Old Bandit wants to know, is Phoenix one of the races where the spring race doesn't translate much to the fall race?
Yeah, not really. The track is the similar temperatures. What we learned in the spring, we can utilize in the fall and hopefully go to Homestead for a championship.
All right, join us on Motor Racing Network Friday for practice on the MRN app at 1:30 Eastern, qualifying at 6:30, truck race on Friday night, Xfinity race on Saturday night, and the Cup race on Sunday right here on the Motor Racing Network. See you right back here next week.
You've been listening to MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Tune in again next Monday at noon Eastern for all the latest news, results, and interviews from NASCAR on MotorRacingNetwork.com. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand at the MotorRacingNetwork.com Media Center. Or you can download it from iTunes or Stitcher. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.